and I almost immediately puked. So that was not fun. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. This week I want to talk to you guys about my surgery that I had for endometriosis. It was a diagnostic laparoscopy, and if you remember a couple weeks back I did a video talking about how I was going in for this procedure. So now I just want to tell you about how it went now that I've had it. So I had it a little over a week ago. I want to tell you guys everything I can possibly think of because I know for me, when I'm going into something like this, what helps me the most is to have a full understanding of what I'm going into and what's going to happen and what I can expect. So I'm going to try and tell you everything that I can remember. So before, what they told me that I had to do, no jewelry. She told me to only bring my phone and my glasses, but I needed, like my cards and stuff. So what I ended up doing was I brought a little cross chest bag. I brought my phone, my glasses, like my vaccine card, my debit card, my ID, a mask. I also brought a breakfast bar because I wasn't allowed to eat breakfast and I was worried I might feel kind of sick after, so I brought that just in case. And I think that was everything I brought. You had to have everything freshly laundered, so I had to wash all of my sheets. I had to wash the clothes that I was going to be wearing to the hospital. And I also had to use this specific soap. It was, I don't remember the name of it right now. I'll try to put it up here. But basically, it was like a super, I don't know, good soap or whatever. And I guess the idea is to avoid any kind of infection. So you have to use that 2 nights before the surgery, the night before the surgery, and the morning of the surgery. I also had to do pre-admission testing, so I had to have blood work done, I had to have a urine pregnancy test, and I had to have a COVID test. Then I had to arrive at the hospital 2 hours before my surgery, which meant that I was showing up at 7 a.m. Then they asked me lots of questions, double-checked all my charts, she weighed me, I think she took my blood pressure, all of that kind of stuff. I had to strip 100% completely everything off, put on a hospital gown, and then she put an IV in my hand, and that was so she could give me whatever, the fluid, saline, all of that I needed. For me, the hand IV didn't go in as well as we wanted, so it was definitely, I don't do great with needles, so it did not go well for me. I started to feel really sick, so just a tip, if you are ever feeling really sick, especially from a needle, something like that, one tip that I've used that works really well for me is to actually get one of those alcohol pad wipes and sniff it. I got 3 concussions in 6 months in high school, and for the following year I dealt a lot with migraines and nausea and stuff like that, and so I used to carry around a box of those alcohol wipes, and it worked so well. So I asked for one of those wipes and just took some deep breaths until I calmed down. And then I just basically waited in the little room. It's not a full room, it's basically just a line of a bunch of different little rooms, and they're separated out by not sheets, but the fake sheet-ish kind of walls that they have at the hospital. And so I waited in there until it was time for my surgery. When it was time, they wheeled me into a separate room, and then wheeled me into the room that I'd be having the surgery in. Then they, helped me up onto the table, and honestly, that's where my memory cuts out. I'm not really sure what happened next. I remember being halfway up on the table, and then I remember waking up. So, presumably, they, put me under somehow, but I'm not quite sure how they did it. So it took me about 2 hours, give or take, to wake up from my surgery, which is longer than they were expecting. The doctor called my parents after the surgery to let them know how it went, and they said that they would be able to pick me up in about an hour. I didn't wake up for another like 2. So I woke up a few times, but by the time I was fully up, it was probably about 2.5 hours later. So it took me a while to wake up, and I kept kind of waking up in fits, and then I would go back to sleep, and I couldn't really keep myself up. Finally got up around 12:30, and I almost immediately puked. So that was not fun. And then once I had like started to feel a little bit better, they came and wheeled me to another section where basically instead of a bed in the room, it was just a chair, and basically you're not allowed to leave the hospital until you pee. I think the idea is to make sure that nothing went wrong with the catheter and that you can pee. So they basically just told me what drink options I had, brought me, I asked for apple juice, so they brought me that and some saltines and I think graham crackers too. And so she transferred me and helped me get up and into the chair. I did it too quickly. Didn't realize this was going to be a problem, so I major nauseated myself. Puked again. It was not fun. And the nurse brought me ginger ale instead of apple juice so it wouldn't be too sweet in my system. So I drank that, waited, I think I was there another like 2.5 hours, maybe 3, and then I was able to pee. I peed the right amount, and then the nurse told me that I could call my parents, and my mom came to pick me up. And basically the nurse went over everything I needed to know before I went home. You know, I couldn't use a tampon, no sexual activity, and no something else until the doctor cleared it, things like that. I wasn't allowed to take baths, swim, or go in the hot tub, and all of that kind of stuff. They also told me that I need to be able to pee again within the next 8 hours. If I don't and like my stomach starts to descend, to like go back to the hospital, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Then my mom picked me up. When she got there, the nurse wheeled me down to meet her at the car, especially because she's not allowed to come into the hospital. And then I would recommend having something to cushion between you and the seatbelt for your drive home. I didn't do this, and I watched somebody else's video after my surgery saying to like bring a pillow, and I wish I had done it. The car ride was definitely very nauseating after the anesthesia. It's gonna vary from person to person. I don't think my body reacts very well to anesthesia. So just like all of that was bad enough, but then anytime like there was any breaking, it was like really intense like on my body. So I wish I had a pillow to just kind of like cushion that a little bit. And then so I got home, and I pretty much just like for the next few days relaxed in bed or on the couch. It took me a few days to be able to kind of like get back to myself a bit, and then once I just started doing all of my work just from bed. I was able to work just as much as normal, but it did take a lot more energy, so I'd be like exhausted by like 9:30 and like couldn't keep my eyes open. So I just tried to like take it slow, but I was able to do my work, just did it from bed, and it took me about a week, well, just over a week. I got the surgery on Tuesday. It took until the following Wednesday for me to have enough energy to like sit at my desk all day and do work at my desk. And even to today, I'm still kind of getting nauseous in the car. I'm building up to be able to drive back to Orlando, but I won't be home for a minute. So I'm definitely still feeling like those side effects. I can drive smaller bursts now, but if I'm driving for an extended period of time, I definitely start to feel that nausea. So now I've had my follow-up appointment with my doctor. I went in a week later. He checked my incisions and all of that. The pain wasn't really that bad. It was kind of more, I described it as really bad, really deep paper cuts, which is like annoying but not bad for surgery. It was more that it was consistent, and so that just in itself took a lot of energy, and I barely had any energy, so it was just one of those kinds of things. The main of it was that I had very, very little energy. The doctor checked the incisions. He said everything looks good. He checked in with anything I was feeling, And then he explained, you know, everything that happened in the surgery. Basically what he said was that everything looked really good when he went in there. He didn't see anything, but he also said that my story is definitely endometriosis. So he explained that it could be microscopic, which means that he just couldn't see it, but it's still there. And he's adjusted my birth control prescription, and because he didn't see the endometriosis to do anything with, he did a LUNA procedure, which is a laparoscopic uterine nerve ablation. Basically means he cut the nerves to my uterus. It shouldn't have any other, you know, issues that creates, but hopefully it will help with my pain. And in 2 to 3 months, I'm going to check back in with him, and if I'm still having a lot of pain and problems, even with all of that, he's just going to put me on the endometriosis medication and we'll try to work on it that way. So that's pretty much everything. If there's something that I forgot to talk about or questions that you still have, let me know in the comment section. If you liked this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot to really get you guys the best content I can. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!